All right.
There we go.
Thank you
Yay.
for being here, everybody. This is our first program called Focus On. We were Sunflower State Libraries the last few years, and now we're changing to this branding with our new partners, Kansas Library Association. Appreciate them working along with me to help get the word out about this program and help me entice future guests to talk about their library. But today we have my old boss, Sharon Moreland. Would you please introduce yourself and how you ended up at your current location?
Iola. Well, hello. My name is Sharon Moreland. I'm the director of the Iola Public Library and the director of the Southeast Kansas Library System, which explains why I'm in Iola. Um, I've been in and around Kansas libraries since 2003 when I was the director at Tonganoxie, and I have been a consultant at Northeast, and then I went out to Philadelphia area for about 8 years and came back and was director at Linwood for a little bit, and then the Roger Carswell retired, and I was able to compete and get the position of system director and Iola Public Library director. So we are the last of the hybrid system / public libraries of the 7 in the state. So I get to be 1/3, 2/3.
All right. Well, speaking of that, what can you tell us a little bit about Iola?
Iola. So yeah, going from Philadelphia to Iola, that was fun. Iola is a town of about 5,500. We are in Southeast Kansas, in Allen County. We have the largest town square in America. And we have a really great new coffee shop and a new breadery, and there's some really cool things happening in Iola. We have the newest state park in the state. So the old quarry at Lehigh Trails has been turned into a state park, or it's in the process of being turned into a state park, and we are super excited about that and the changes that that's going to bring to Iola. Yeah.
Excellent. So now let's talk a little bit more about the library. What can you tell us about how it operates with your hours, staffing, all that kind of
Yeah.
gritty?
So we're a municipal library through the city of Iola, and the library itself was built in 1966, 1967, right when we became the system headquarters, because Lucille Wagner happened to have her library degree. So that's why we were selected to be the system headquarters. It's a beautiful library, same architect that built the library in Garnett. It's had a couple of additions. We are open, 6 days a week, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5 Friday and Saturday. We have a rather large collection, with part of it being purchased by the SEKLS and the rest of it by the library. So we serve as the main resource for the Seek and Find shared catalog. If you put a book on hold, it's going to come to us first, and we'll be the one to fill it. So my staff, I have 2 full-time, like a children's librarian and a public services librarian. I have 2 part-time library assistants. In this picture you have, in the green shirt is Melissa, she's my adult services, and Colleen Dobbins, who is our part-time library assistant, and she does my 2 o'clock book club. And then I've got 4 part-time clerk shelvers, and there's also I'm part-time, and the administrative assistant is part-time, and there's 7 of us who are passport agents as well. But we keep things open, and we're trying to be open as much as we can. We serve as a warming center and a cooling center, and are trying to build our reputation, I guess, in the community to be a place to hang out, a place to go. We'll talk a little bit later about our new children's area. We have seen a huge increase in the number of our door count's gone up 30%, and the number of new library cards went up 30%. So we definitely are seeing a lot of new people come into the library to use the children's space, to participate in our crochet club on Monday nights, to check out board games, to come to some of our adult programs, come to story time, things like that. So we're just trying to ramp up programming and make sure that people know that we're open and a fun place to hang out. And we're seeing more teens in the library, which I always say that's the canary in the coal mine. If you have teens coming into the library, that means you've got good customer service.
Yeah. Well, we had a comment from Anna Foote. She said fabulous growth. Um,
Yes.
but I wanted to go back just because I think we've got a little bit of time. You mentioned Seek and Find, your old
Hmm.
friend Koha, which you've got a pretty good amount of experience with, having
Yep.
worked with that up here in Northeast. Can you just go back real fast? That was kind of an interesting way that you set it up with your branch and your consortium.
Yeah, so the SEKLS is headquartered in a 1985 addition to this library. They rent from Iola. I'm a landlord, and so the Seek and Find Consortium is centered out of Iola. We provide SEK provides uh, Jason Robb, who's our system admin, like our system librarian, um, organizes it for us. And we do interlibrary loan through Seek and Find as well. So our morning pick list, the SEK staff come and pull all the books because a majority of them are not, they're not for our patrons. They're pulling them and they're sending them out uh, throughout the consortium. So SEKLS buys the bestsellers, like 12 copies of the uh, Patterson, so that then we can fill all that demand. And then once those books have their demand has diminished, it goes to rotation. And then you get all the little libraries get their 10 boxes of rotation books. And by the time they're done with rotation, they're about 10 years old. So, yeah, they've been around for a while and then they get sold. So I think we do a good job of reduce, reuse, recycle,
Mhm.
and make sure that we get the most out of all those books that are being bought and used all around the system.
Right. So if I want a book that's not in the rotating collection, it will, that hold will then be processed if you have it at the Iola Public Library and then
Yep.
courier its way to my smaller library in your region.
Yep. Yeah. So I have a really deep nonfiction collection, especially for a community my size. We have a large adult fiction collection, large print collection, because we serve as a sort of as a resource. We're not one of the larger libraries. Samantha just came on. Parsons is bigger than us, so is Independence. So we rely on some of our larger libraries to help with that, but we take on the burden of we're the first library hit. If you
Gotcha.
put it on hold, let's see if they don't have it at their library, does Iola have it? If Iola doesn't have it, then let's see where else it might be.
Gotcha. All right. So we've already kind of talked a little bit about the facilities, but let's maybe dive in just a little bit more what you're working with here at the
Okay.
Iola Library and with your other part of your third of Seckles attached to you.
Yeah. So the you can see the front entrance with the big dramatic columns. We're going to hopefully paint those red. And you can see our shelter house that we bought with ARPA, and the zinnia garden that was used our seed library seeds to create that little garden spot. And we've got our bike share right there. So anyway, that's the original 1967 part of the library. The picture on the bottom is showing the 1985 edition, which includes a meeting room for Iola, 2 additional bathrooms. So that's where we have story time and public programs and things like that. But that's also where SEK would have their meetings. And that's where we have like our Seek and Find users group. And then behind that, next to the parking lot, that's the SEK offices. So giant cubicle farm for them. And then between this big building and that new addition is this tiny little 1971 addition that is rotation, and that's where the van garage is, and our special services and Cheryl Cordy, our acquisitions and rotation head. So we're kind of a hodgepodge. And then I'll just add on,
Interior
it's
here.
not it's not pictured, but behind that in 2009 we were given a house. So we have the Fluharty Powell Annex. We have this big 19, it was renovated in the 70s, and it's like a 4-bedroom, three bath, two and a half bath house. So we've got that we're dealing with as well.
And
Um,
how are you using that house?
Um, it has been used for rental space. It's been used for, it has a full kitchen, so we use it for some programming. Um, it got sort of out of we quit using it during COVID, and then the board has decided we want to ramp it back up. And we are also looking very, as part of our strategic plan, looking at what we want to do with that long term. And one idea that we're strongly investigating is a makerspace. So we can, we're trying to figure out a way, like this, the picture that you see right here is the crochet club. The crochet club now meets over in the house. So we're thinking of also having, canning classes with 4-H extension over at the house. Any other kind of, could we do sewing over there? Could we do paint parties, a paint and sip over there? Whatever we can think of to have that house be used, especially in the evening, so that it generates some life and energy and awareness in the community that we have this asset, but we need to figure out what we want to do with it. Last week for my Rotary Club, we actually, the Rotary Club came, Rotary on the Road, and they came and we did a tour of the house so that my Rotary friends could see what we're dealing with. It was, the whole house was gifted. Did we get additional tax funds to pay for it? No. So it's I'm looking at it as a opportunity, but we need to get a lot of community involvement
Right.
to have it reach its full potential.
Mhm. People definitely seem to like here online like the idea of makerspace incorporation, and that does make sense, especially keeping it separated, noise and all that type of
Hmm.
stuff.
Well, and
Uh,
it has 2 garages.
oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's been something that we focused on this past year and continue to focus on it moving forward.
Anything else about the kind of interior of the main building?
Weed your collection, and you too can create new soft seating spaces like I did. Yeah, that chair used to be shelving full of old books. So big believer, we're doing a very heavy weed of the collection, and its circulation's up 22%.
Nice.
So
It happens. It's
it
true. You
does.
weed your
It does.
collection.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and I love the shout out to trying to take some space that used to be for collections and making it more so that people can hang out.
Yep.
Let's
Enjoy
see
the
here. Well,
space.
let's jump in to talk about maybe some programs and services for the second half of today's focus on with Iola Library.
Okay. We have been, well, you see my chess club. Anna came to us and said, "Hey, I want to do a chess club. Can I have it at the library?" And we said, "Yeah." And we were trying to figure out where to have it. And the meeting room, I think it's on a Monday night, and that's when I have my board meetings. So we were like, "Well, here's the genealogy room. Nobody uses it. Let's go, let's have her use the genealogy room." So we put her in there. And so that means Monday nights, that space is full of life and laughter, and we have adults that come, it's all ages, and they come and spread out and play chess every Monday night. We bring in guest speakers. So on the left you see Stan Grigsby, who is a ham radio operator, former instructor at the university. He's done this talk. We also asked him to come back and do a talk about astronomy for the eclipse. So we're trying to make these partnerships with the college, and I mentioned the 4-H extension. We have them. We had Roger. You can see Roger Carswell. They did a new recipe exchange, and Roger loves to cook, so he came back and is now just a active patron. But he did some traveling, so we had him come and do travel logs for programs. We had the person do you guys know the Valo milk candy that you can get at like Baumgard's? that was developed here in Iola. So we had that person come and speak about it. Um, and um, it's just it's a mix of hands-on fun stuff, crafty stuff, kids stuff, um, the mental and physical health is we try to do health related programs.
So the chess club's interesting, and I'm just curious if you could, how long does that last on Mondays? How much time do you reserve for that? And is there anything else if somebody wanted to start that they need to think about?
Well, Anna's the one who's teaching it, and she came. So I didn't have to recruit anybody. We purchased 3 chess sets, but she brings some additional chess sets herself. I think they're there for an hour, you know. And what we found is, parents will come, drop them off, go crochet because the crochet club's happening at the same time, and then pick them up and take them home. Um, but yeah, it's uh, not labor intensive
Yeah,
on our part at all.
an easy win.
Yeah, yeah. So, but the thing that I like most about it is when you're there and you have, an 8-year-old playing an adult,
Yeah,
or you have, that it's multi-generational, and you have girls and boys, men and women.
yeah. I think that's a great thing about that program. Speaking of, well, we talked about programs, and you can also see in the bottom right, I guess I like this little snapshot of what happens at least from December 4th through 9th. So obviously a lot of programs throughout the week for
Yeah.
all ages. I don't want to throw you a curveball here, but are there services that the Iola Public Library provides that you think are really core for the community?
Yeah. So we have homebound book delivery, which we're really proud of. We need to recruit, because through natural attrition. So we're going to start marketing that more. We're a passport agency. That's very well used. We do notary service, which is like
Yep.
a weird thing, but um, I would say being a passport agency has really been. There's a lot of travelers in Southeast Kansas. People want to go on cruises, or the high school kids all need their passport so they go on their senior trip. So I think that's a really good service. Um,
Is that a one-stop shop? You do the photo there too?
no, you got to go to Walmart to get the
Gotcha.
photo, and then come to us to get to do the sit down, fill out the application kind of a thing. Um,
Do we have a post office in Iola?
we do.
Yeah. That's where
We
I just
do.
got my first passport. Didn't get to use it.
Congratulations.
Didn't get to use it yet, but
Yeah,
post COVID, it's like it's time to be ready. All
burns a
right.
hole.
Let
Story time. I guess
Yeah.
anything that we do with youth services has been fantastic. We'll talk about in the partnerships with the family engagement, but we have a once a month um, event on Saturdays, stay and play, where Lisa, my children's librarian, partners with a service provider in the community, somebody that works with children, to have parents are invited to come and the kids play, and it gives an informal opportunity for this child care service provider to talk to the parents, and the parents to ask questions in a way that's really non-threatening, and they're
Yeah.
not being talked at. It's just like they're watching the kid play, and they can ask about, well, they're not talking yet, is that normal? Or they're really picky eater, how can I help? Can you help me with that?
So let's do talk about partnerships.
Yes.
What you got?
So the one that I wanted to highlight is it's a partnership with SEK. So Tammy Benham, the youth services consultant, wanted to. She had this big audacious dream to apply for a CB the Child Abuse and Prevention grant that's through the Children's Cabinet. So we did a 1-year pilot grant application for family engagement in public libraries, where Lisa and I got training through the Family Place libraries out on the East Coast. It was via Zoom, where we totally reimagined the children's department. We had a giant reading castle in the corner of that had just been installed in 2017. That went away, and we installed play-based learning equipment. So the dollhouse, a play kitchen, toys. I'm doing this action, the rolly things, cars and trucks and dump trucks, and things like that. And so we had, the first year we had this space, we had 2,200 families come and use this space, and last year we had 4,900. So to say that this has been a game changer for the Iola Public Library is it's not an understatement. I mean, I can't say too many good things about the Family Engagement in Public Libraries grant project. So the Children's Cabinet liked the idea, and they approved it for 3 years instead of just one. And so it's been expanded, and Parsons, I look at Sammy, is participating this year with Caney and with Moline, and last year we had Galena and Weir. So we're trying to scale it. Other partnerships that we have are with Rotary. So we do Imagination Library, Dolly Parton, got to go see her. That was fun. And then we have a Iola Reads Committee, which is a one book, one community project that we do twice a year, that we help with that too.
So I was going to say it seemed like it might have been hard to get rid of a castle that was only a few years old.
We rehomed it.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So Cherryvale. Yeah, April at Cherryvale. She wanted it, and they installed it and put some really bright lights underneath it, and they love it. And it's great for their community. So that's, you can see the castle theme on the wall still, so it's kind of a weird vibe in there because we haven't had a chance to paint yet.
So I can't remember. We talked about it before we started, but I don't know if you said it live here, that you act as kind of the guinea pig for SEK
Yes.
projects.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason that this continues to work as being the headquarters for SEK is Iola is always the guinea pig. So if there's a pilot project for anything, we're doing it. So the children's kiosk, Samantha at Parsons is beta testing it, and Iola is beta testing it. The FEPL beta tested at us. Technology, we have to try it before we sell it to the rest of the system. So that's part of it. I mean, because we're a fully functioning library. So if they have, whereas, like Dan, you guys are in your own office, you're away from a library, you're not affiliated with any one particular library. So we are. So if Jason wants to try something with the catalog, we can immediately tell him, yeah, that works great, or no, that really messed up with our process. So not that he ever does that, but
Okay, before we move on here for our last question, I wondered if you can give us any more ideas about partnerships that you find are really important for your work, either as a system or, on the other hand, as a library.
If you're not really, really friendly with your extension agent, I mean, I think in Kansas, most of us are working with our 4-H extension agent. We've had a couple of really good partnerships with our local animal shelter, ACARF, so adoption and microchipping and in the side yard, participating in whatever's going on at the square. So ACMAT, which is don't ask me what that stands for, but they have a big park day. We participate in that. Aging with Attitude, so we're trying to be participate in senior fairs, new senior fairs that are going on, especially my special needs consultant. Rotary, I'm new to Rotary, and I love it. It's great service projects. They just gave us $5,000. And then just the university.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Allen County Community College or Allen Community College here in town. So making sure that they know the kids can volunteer at the library and that we're here to serve them as well is a good thing.
It is a
I'm
good
sure I'm
thing.
forgetting people. So
All right. Well, so the last question I want to ask you is, and this goes into our partnership now with KLA, Kansas Library Association. So I know that you've had some affiliation, have been on the executive board or with KLA. What can you tell us about professional organizations, your work in the past, who you work with, and what you get out of it?
okay. So I'm a big believer in the public library section. Kim Beats drug me into that when I was a new director in Tonganoxie, but it was a way to get involved statewide. And actually that's how I met, Connie and Andrea and some of the librarians that are here down in Southeast Kansas was through Kansas Library Association, especially the public library section. So I think it's a great way to get involved and to get to know your fellow librarians, not just in your system, but in some of the other systems. Um, I served as secretary for PLS back in the day, and then for the last 2 years. And the new vice president is April Hernandez, who's my system consultant. And so, yeah, big shout out to KLA, and we had a lot of fun. SEK had a lot of fun this year having a booth for the first time at in the exhibit hall, and we'll do that again for sure. I also I'm a graduate, 2006 graduate of the MPLA, the Mountain Plains Library Association Leadership Institute. So that was life changing at that time. And PLA, the Public Library Association of ALA, is the other professional organization that I belong to. And then, yeah, again, Rotary. But KLA, the other part of KLA that I'm participate in is the Government Affairs Committee. And so I'm going to give you that segue into
Perfect
Kansas
segue.
Legislative Day.
Thank you. Yeah. So just for this month's update, I did want to point out, if you didn't see through the listserv, and if you're not on the listserv, I highly recommend that you sign up for Can Libel. You don't necessarily even have to be a librarian. If you're listening today or this recording later and you're just interested in what goes on in Kansas libraries, you can really find out a lot that way. But if you didn't know, it looks like the KLA Legislative Day has been planned for January 31st. So, and it looks like the advocacy section of the KLA website, they do plan to have some talking points that you could send even if you can't make it to Topeka, which I assume a lot of us are not able to make it there. Travel all the way across the state if you're down in Southwest or up in Northwest. But so keep an eye out for that, and we'd love to connect you if you need to be. So that's advocacy with the capital A here at the end of the month. A lot of the times we practice advocacy with the little a with our city councils and all of that, but this is a good time of year as the session just starts for you to kind of get those speaking points to the people who represent you. So we'll leave with that thought. Thank you all for being here, or if you are listening on YouTube later, we'll be trying to keep this program going under the new name Focus On with whoever we're meeting with, and we're always looking to expand to academics and schools. It's a lot more difficult to schedule with you, but if you're interested, reach out to me. It's dalexander@nekls.org, and I hope the rest of you out there are having a nice, staying warm inside, I guess is what I'm getting at on this snow day where we're all closed down. So thanks for joining us. Sharon, thank you again for being here. It's
You're
been a
welcome.
pleasure to hear more about what's going on at Iola and SEK.
Yep.
So we'll see y'all later in the year.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.